I really like this first episode. They opened the episode with somebody getting rushed to the hospital in critical condition. They didn't really show you who it was, but it looks like it might have been Bible's character. As to how he ended up in that situation, I don't know, because while this was happening, Jess's character, Time, was also struggling and fighting for his life. You could see that he was running from somebody, barely able to walk, stumbling and bleeding everywhere, and somebody was, chasing after him with a gun. I don't know if their injuries were caused by the same people, and I don't know if their injuries happened around the same time. Unfortunately, they really didn't go back to it later in the episode, so I'm hoping that they'll revisit these scenes in the upcoming episodes. Just the first few minutes of the series just gave you a lot, but left you hanging at the same time. Side by side, they're both going through something really serious, life and death situation, but they didn't really tell you exactly how they ended up there. So you end up having a lot of questions, like what happened, who did this to them, who's after them. But obviously this is their hook. I'm sure they'll revisit these scenes and give us more clarity as to why and how they ended up here. Nonetheless, what an amazing opening. I really liked it. The opening credits I thought was so cool. It felt like I was watching a superhero movie, kind of like the Avengers, them kind of just slowly disintegrating. I thought it was pretty cool. So right now we know that Great has this ability to be able to see 4 minutes into the future, but they didn't really tell you how exactly he's able to do this and how he ended up getting this ability to be able to see into the future. And by the looks of it, Great doesn't know how he got this ability either. It just seems like every time he's done something that is regrettable or something that requires a different response from him, then this whole time traveling or him being able to see into the future gets activated. It almost feels like it's telling him to correct that behavior. Like for instance, in the first time it's happened is when obviously he accidentally hits a woman with his car. And granted, it was an accident, at least on his part, because this woman appears to be doing that on purpose. She even admitted it on several occasions that she wanted to purposely walk into traffic with the intention to probably, she seems to be going through something extremely heavy that in order for her to, I guess, alleviate and kind of free her from all the pain and suffering was for her to walk into traffic. But obviously she wasn't very successful, although she sustained some very serious injuries, but she wasn't able to achieve her goal, I guess. That's kind of dark. But he still drove off and really left this poor woman out here without calling anybody, essentially committing a hit and run. So he drives off, but before he got too far, he gets sent back in time. And they gave you that really cool visual effects of him, kind of being pulled back into the past. 4 minutes to be specific, into the past. Unfortunately, even though he was much more careful and a lot slower when driving this time around, he still managed to hit her and injure her. Even though the woman's intention remained the same. She wanted to inflict harm on herself by walking or running or jumping into traffic. But at least this time around, Great, already equipped with the experience that had just happened 4 minutes ago, he was able to stop and really try to help this woman out, called for help, waited for the help to come, and visited the woman at the hospital. So that was the first incident. The second incident was when he was at the hospital right after he had just visited the person he had hit. He bumps into Time, and instead of stopping and apologizing and helping Time pick up his stuff, Great just kind of walked away. Really rude. Again, before he got too far, this whole time traveling gets activated again. So he gets sent back in time, 4 minutes back in time, almost telling him again to correct his response to that. I thought it was really interesting at the end of this episode, while Great was being sent back in time after he just bumped into Time, that this character named Lukwa was describing what could be the same situation that Great is finding himself in right now. While she was being interviewed by the doctor, she was telling him about her medical history, and she had shared that at some point in the past her heart stopped beating due to severe myocarditis, or an inflammation of the heart muscle. And I can only imagine how painful that must have been for her, because I had some years ago I went through something similar, but mine was a little different. Mine was, they called it pericarditis. I think that's the inflammation of the sac tissue that surrounds your heart. So that part was inflamed with mine. So I remember one morning I was woken up by this really sharp pain in my chest. It was terrifying. I thought I was having a heart attack. So I woke up with that pain. It felt like somebody was sitting on your chest, but with a sharp object. So I got up, 90 degree, and the pain migrated to my back. So I was like, fuck, what is this? I kind of went back and forth, and I realized that every time I would lay down, the pain would be on my chest. If I sat up, the pain would be on my back. So somehow I realized that if I sat at a certain angle, the pain wouldn't be as severe. It's still there, but not as bad. It was a bizarre experience. One of the most painful experiences I've ever had. So anyway, so that's anything that has to do with your heart, any inflammation, is never a good thing. So when she said myocarditis, I'm like, oh shit, that is serious. So anyway, so she said her heart stopped beating because of that, and while her heart was stopped, she said that she was experiencing life like normal, but she was reliving her past life. Everything felt real except for one thing, and that one thing was her ability to be able to see 4 minutes into the future. So even while she was in that state where everything felt real, one thing did not feel real, didn't feel right, and that was again being able to see 4 minutes into the future. So it looks like what she's describing is what Great is going through right now. And I think that was the moment when his heart stopped beating, and then this whole thing happened, you know, this him experiencing his life in the past and him being able to see 4 minutes into the future. So I think that might be what's happening here. Again, I could be completely wrong. As for Time, I wonder if he's also going through the same thing Great is going through right now, because in the beginning of this episode, you could see that he was also injured and was fighting for his life. So did his heart stop too? Is he also in this same space or pocket of time that Great is currently in? Like, are they both on the same page here? I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell because it's only just telling you or showing you from Great's character's perspective. And that woman that was hit by Great with his car got a lot of screen time. I wonder if either one of them knows this lady or if she's somehow related to either one of them. But I just feel like she's gonna play an important role in this series. And her son was mentioned on several occasions throughout the episode, so it makes me wonder if either one of them is her son or if they knew her son. I don't know. And also, I don't know if they mentioned it and I missed it, but I don't remember her saying why she did what she did when she decided to walk into traffic. All I remember was her telling Time that she wanted to die, and Time responded something along the lines of, you know, you can do whatever you want. You certainly have the option to do that, but you can't do it here. But during this exchange between Time, this woman, and the other doctor, Time just had that weird look, like he knew something he didn't want to tell us. So I don't know what was happening there. I really couldn't pinpoint exactly what he might be thinking during that time. It just feels like he knows something he wasn't willing to share at that moment. Or maybe she just reminded him of maybe his mom. But nonetheless, it looks like this woman was going through something really traumatic and painful that she was willing to resort to harming herself and ending her life this way. It seems like a very painful way to go. So I don't know exactly what she's going through, but she looks like she's been through it and she just seems so tired. So I hope that she gets all the help she needs and that she recovers fast, because she just seems like a really nice person, and it just seems like she has a bigger role to play. So I want to see more of her. And when it comes to Great's family, they seem nice and extremely rich, but it looks like they're involved in some type of online gambling and possibly illegal activities. So I don't know how that's gonna come into play and how that's gonna get tied into the storyline. And I wonder if Time's injured. I keep saying Time because I'm so used to time is just something that is difficult for me to remember because I'm so used to saying Time. I know it's been years since Together the series came out, but I'm so stuck with Time that saying Time has been very challenging. So anyway, so I wonder if the injuries that Time had sustained had anything to do with his involvement with Great's family's business dealing. And Great's brother seems really nice, and it looks like he's just been recently promoted or assigned to their businesses investment department, a department that he didn't even know existed. But judging from what we've seen so far, I can see why this department has been kept secret from him and that he's barely finding out about this, because it looks like they needed to see that they can trust him to oversee or manage this department, because it sounds like a very sticky situation to get involved in. And they didn't really tell us a lot about their business, or at least about this investment department, but all they really had to say was online gambling, and my brain is already associating it with illegal activities. And that's because online gambling is such a big thing in the Philippines, and I hear about it on the news all the time, and they're oftentimes associated with, again, illegal activities like money laundering, human trafficking, prostitution, you name it. Even though they didn't mention a whole lot about what the family does, or at least what this department functions as, and it's not difficult to tell that there's a lot of money or investment that gets funneled through this business. So I don't know if Great Brother is a good fit for this role, because he seems like a kind person. I don't know, he just seems too nice to be running this department. I don't know, again, if it's gonna change him over time, but for now it just seems like he's not a right fit for the job, and that's not a bad thing. And Great and Time, I'm just so excited to see them interact and to see their chemistry. I love that we get to see Bible again after a long absence since Kin Porsche, and now being partnered with JES, who I'd never seen act before. So it's exciting times. And before I forget, this episode gave us our very first steamy scene between Tongkla and Kon, and they did not hold back. I mean, it went on longer than I had expected, and I thought it was very refreshing that Kon's character, after he had finished, he wanted to help Tongkla finish also. That might have been the first time I've seen that. I don't know, I can't remember of another series that had something similar to that. But to see him finish and then help his partner finish as well, I thought it was nice. Because I'm not very familiar with a lot of these actors, I found myself looking up their names and their backgrounds on MDL and on Google. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I saw somewhere that the actor who plays Tongla is only 18 years old, right? I had to make sure, I had to do like a side-by-side comparison on my phone and my computer to make sure that I'm looking at the same actor, because I didn't want to mistake him with another actor. But again, I could be completely mistaken. But I thought I saw somewhere that the actor that plays Tongla is 18 years old. I was taken aback by that, because the scene that he was doing in this episode was very, very revealing. But I was just taken aback because, you know, in the US, you don't see that very often. Or at least I've never seen that at all. And I know that different parts of the world and different countries have their own different standards. I did look it up, and it looks like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I really tried my best to do a little bit of research to, you know, further educate myself, because I know that I don't know everything. So, and I did try to look it up again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like in Thailand, the consenting age is 15. That is it for us today. What do you think of this episode? Did you have a favorite scene or anything that stood out to you? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your time. Before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss my next video. Until then, I will see you later.